Hello everyone, this is Jorge Diaz, president and founder of Larry Jacob Internet Marketing, and I'm bringing you another episode of Defining Infusionsoft Success. This week my guest is Oli Billson. Oli, how are you?
I'm great. Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Oli is chiming in here from the UK. He's somewhere in the middle of the country near Birmingham, or in Birmingham, am I right?
Pretty close, yeah, pretty close.
That's his area. That's the area where he's been all his life. And he heads up a digital marketing agency out in the UK. They do a lot of business with people here in the US. And I thought he'd be a great guest because he fills what I like to call one of the three key areas in all membership sites. If you've read one of my articles back beginning of the year, three key ingredients as I see them is you've got to have the membership site built right. That's the space where we thrive. You've got to have your content organized in such a way that it gets consumed well by your audience. Just because it works offline doesn't mean that it'll work online. So that's the second one. And then the third one is you've got to have traffic. You've got to have leads showing up on, into your sales funnels. Otherwise, nothing happens. And that's Oli's space, right?
Certainly is. Yeah, certainly is.
So what I want to do is have a discussion with Oli about the kind of challenges that membership sites in particular have, and have him go over just some interesting issues because he has worked with membership site builders and, a lot of the calculations, mathematics, and things that go with it. And I thought that'd just be a great resource for people to have, in this call.
Yeah, sure. And totally, we work with, a lot of membership organizations, a lot of people in the information marketing business that have a membership community. And typically on some, their revenue model is a recurring revenue income stream for them. Sure. And just like many memberships are. And so we found, George, that there's sort of 6 really key growth activators, as we put it, that people that are running membership businesses and selling training courses online should be very much aware of, so that they can really not just grow and acquire new members, but actually sustain that growth and, more importantly, of course, scale it.
So are these things that are focused on not just acquiring new clients, but making sure that your churn stays low, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes, especially coming into something that's new, if somebody's listening to this right now and maybe they're thinking about, getting into building a membership site or having a member base in some way and having an online course or some kind of learning management environment where they're going to be charging people monthly for their services, this is very relevant. But it's also very relevant for those people that have an existing business and they want to possibly reevaluate where they are. And we've really come to find that working with lots of different businesses like this, including our own, those indicators that are really telling that you really need to consider as a business owner in order to capitalize on what business you're really in.
Okay, well, you mentioned 6, so let's get going. I want to hear them.
Cool. So number 1 is looking at attrition rate versus growth rate. Now, what that really means, first of all, we need to look at how you obviously calculate attrition rate. Now, for most people in the membership business that are certainly keyed into this stuff, this shouldn't be anything new, but for those of you who are not, we're going to go through it anyway. So calculating your attrition rate, very simple calculation. It's the number of clients that you lost this month divided by the total number of clients at the beginning of the month. Okay, yeah. So that's how you're going to calculate your attrition rate.
So if I've got 100 customers, to pick a number, and I lost 5, I'm at 5%, right?
Right, exactly. And then the other number is very simple. You know, what's the customer acquisition in terms of your growth calculation? It's very simple. How many clients did we win this month? Okay, so you've kind of got those two numbers there now. And so to calculate your attrition versus your growth rate, what you do is you take the number 1, okay, and you divide it by your attrition rate, and then you times it by the average monthly customer value. Okay, that's the calculation that you're really looking for. And just to help people that are thinking, okay, I'm listening to you or I'm watching you, and you know I could really do with that kind of somewhere, I'll make those resources available to you at the end, so you've kind of you can come and get them from us, no problems at all. So that's really the first thing that you want to.
So you're saying you've got a calculator you're going to make available, is what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah, we've got some graphical diagram that shows people really any kind of reoccurring business or SaaS business, what they should really be looking for. And the number 1 is attrition versus growth rate, and that's how you go ahead and calculate that.
Perfect.
Now, I know we've got a bit to get through, and I know you probably want to kind of dive into a few of these things, and that was a fairly basic one that should be familiar to most people. But the second is installing tracking. Now, let me give you the context behind this. You see, as most membership sites grow, one of the most important things you need to understand is to have accurate reporting. Now, it might seem obvious that you might need accurate reporting when you've only got a small number of members. But as you begin to scale and you experience a churn rate and attrition starts to become a consideration, what you're really looking for are the indicators that somebody may drop off. They may cancel their membership with you. And so what you're trying to do is preempt in advance what that actually may mean. So, for example, some basic indicators would be, are they opening your emails? Very simply put, are they opening your emails? Okay? Because if they rely upon you to get course material, new updates, then you want to know that they can actually engage with that information so that they can go and take advantage of it. And more importantly, because they're paying for it, it's even more important. Seems very basic.
No, right, but I mean, if you're paying for something and you're not even opening the emails, it's like, well, this guy's on a short timing. Right.
And so, I think that, we're afforded with Infusionsoft, the benefit of being able to put some of this reporting together. My recommendation for most is to use Graphly. Graphly, great company. We use it to monitor some of these things that we're talking about here, to create a dashboard that's very visual for somebody to, at a glance, look at to find out some of these numbers. And with the new email builder, it's become slightly more difficult to track some of those opens, whereas Graphly have kind of got that figured out a little bit more than you having to go back to legacy for emails. So that's really one of the first things. The second is, if you have when you bring new members into your world, you want to know if they consumed your welcome video or your introductory onboarding training sequence of content. So how do you do that? Well, those indicators may mean video consumption. So actually putting the right tracking in place that's going to indicate that somebody's consuming your content. If you're on a 30-day trial membership and that's your model, and they don't consume the welcome video, there's a very good chance that at the end of the 30-day trial, they probably won't be able to charge their card again.
No, right.
Or they will cancel, right?
And I guess, you're assuming they even logged in, right? So you want to know if they logged in at least once, right?
Of course, exactly. And so, logins are definitely, next on my list of understanding the last login date so you know what time has elapsed between different events, and then within that tolerance of those 2 time periods or 2 tags being applied in Infusionsoft, you can then kick off certain automation to try and get people back on side, maybe kick off a text message to them, maybe kick off a voice broadcast to them, maybe do something that's going to elicit a response, knowing what the action was that they haven't been taking, is all very much a consideration. So really one of the other parts of this is knowing that last engagement. When was that last engagement? And if it begins to tail off, then building things in advance to consider how we get them back on track. And you know, other indications for this are things like coaching calls. If they're supposed to attend a live coaching call each week or every month, if they're not showing up to those coaching calls, so again, with Infusionsoft, very basic tracking that knows that if they log in to you know, Webinar Jam to go to their live coaching call that month, or go to Webinar or Zoom, you can apply a tag to know that they attended, and so that counts towards the recency of their behavior, so that then you can make sure that they're on track.
And I guess complement that with, you know, maybe they could make the call, but are they watching the replays or the archive versions of those? So yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, totally. And of course, once they're in there, then, you know, you can do these types of tracking that, you know, you may find to do otherwise a little bit more difficult if they weren't within a platform or an environment. So, and the other thing is as well, is actually teaming up your support system with Infusionsoft, so that you know if they raise a complaint or a concern, meaning that there's an inbound ticket that comes in about something within a first 30 days or so, you can be proactive in knowing, well, is there something that we need to do to try and keep them on board within this, you know, onboarding period with you? Or maybe they're not within a free trial period, maybe they are a member. Just the indicators and the tracking that are going to say, hey, this person has put 5 support tickets in. As soon as that custom field hits 5, then we immediately kick off some actions based upon that. So our analogy with this that I've kind of become synonymous with is something that's saying for every action or inaction, there is a reaction. So we're always creating contingencies and helping people make sure that we're on top of retention as a result of having that in our mindset.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because we've built in some additional reporting that we do. We record a lot of notes with our sites that some of our customers don't even know we do, because when they do need them, they're available. And they're easy to do as you're building these solutions, but it's someone like you who's really monitoring it that cares.
Sure. And I think the thing is, you know, we call these things sensors, because really they're sensing what's actually happening out there. And some of the things that we track, and I'm just going to blurt some of these out because we've got even more stuff to get through. So clicks, opens, logins, pages visited, time on page, how many form submissions have they made, how many referrals have they given, how many videos have they watched, how many consecutive actions have they taken, how many subscription cycles they've been through, how many videos they've watched, how many inbound calls have been generated, even though you're online, but for support have been generated, how many decline payments have been, how many actions have taken place in a specific amount of time, time since last purchase, time since first purchase to second purchase, time since last login, time since last click, all the recency and frequency and monetary stuff that we all know we can do with Infusionsoft that really can make a big difference.
Sure. My interview with Oli went a little bit longer than expected, so we've split this up into 2 episodes. The next episode completes another 15 minutes of our conversation where he covers the remainder of his presentation. Take care.